Well, it is 3 o'clock. I think it'd be a good time to start since that's the time that we mentioned for everyone. Everyone, thank you for joining us today for the Data Vault North American User Group quarterly meeting. It's the first meeting of 2026. We do want to thank all of our sponsors, and they will be introduced here shortly, for making this meeting possible. And thanks to all of you for giving up your time in the day to come and learn with us. If you don't know, this might be your first time being exposed to Data Vault. Some of those of you, many of those of you, have been exposed to Data Vault, and that's awesome. For those who haven't, Data Vault is a system of business intelligence containing all the necessary components needed to accomplish enterprise vision in data warehousing and information delivery. Plenty more to learn about Data Vault. And if you have questions about it, feel free to drop them in the chat. There are people watching the chat to be able to answer questions for you along the way. We'll also have plenty of resources available for you to learn more about Data Vault as you enter into this journey. We'd like to introduce our board today, who couldn't be with us today. Cindy Meyerson, our president with Data Rebels and the Data Vault Alliance. If you've been exposed to Data Vault at all, you recognize that name quite well. Jim Freyer, our treasurer from JD Data Solutions from Texas. Mary Mink, she's our VP of Sponsorship Services from Resultant. Sam Bandayan, VP of Marketing from Resultant. And Pavitra. Pavitra, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name, Chakravarti from Resultant. One of these days I'll get it correct. Myself, Membership Services, Noel Cruz. That is correct, Noel, even though you hear a male voice on this end. I'm from Minnesota, and I work at Optum. Actually, UHG now, United Health Group, but Optum is part of United Health Group. Ayo Oyewo from Allen Consulting Incorporated. She's our VP of Event Planning, and we have an open seat in VP of Technology Services, which moves us into our very next announcement. We have elections coming up for board membership, and they will be held on February 18th of 2026. If you have any nominations, suggestions, comments, anything, if you want to volunteer for a position, the deadline to get us that information is February 1st. Please feel free to drop a line in the chat or let Jim Freyer know at jim.freyer@dvnog.com. That's jim.freyer@dvnog.com. All right, we're going to move into introducing our sponsors. Ayo, if you'd like, we'll let you go ahead and take it from here. I'm sorry, this is our agenda. Ayo, let me one moment interrupt you for a second. We do have this agenda for today. We're introducing the board and open positions. Obviously, you'll hear from our sponsors, and of course, the rest of the agenda is there for you to read. All right, Ayo, you ready?
Yes.
Yes, here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. We want to thank all our sponsors, Westcape for data automations and resultants. We have the Vault Speed as well. We have Data Vault Builder. And also we have the Aeon Connection Managing Services Provider and Seven Rivers. Also, we have our own Data Rebels, Cindy, and the De facto. We welcome you this afternoon. Yes.
And we're going to hear from each one of our sponsors. I believe.
Yeah, right now we are going to hear from the Duane Hayes from Westgate. Please go ahead and present your slide. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hi, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us to this wonderful event. So my name is Duane Hayes. Oh, you guys have to click the start. I'm expecting that little bar thing to move.
Okay, thank you.
Anyways, yeah, so my name is Duanes. I am a solutions architect with Warescape and very, very happy to be here today. Thank you very much for the invitation. Yeah, we have been, it's great. We've been partners with DVNOG for a few years now, and we really cherish that relationship. We get a lot of help from their side, from the Data Vault Alliance as well. Just talking a little bit about Warescape. Warescape offers tools that allows for data warehouse automation. And we have worked very, very closely with Dan and the Data Vault Alliance to essentially tailor our product so that it is very much Data Vault ready to go. Warescape started off as actually a consulting company way back when, about 25 years ago in New Zealand. And they were a professional services company, and all they did was build data warehouses for folks. They ended up building an internal tool that helped them do it faster and more efficient. And eventually the market essentially moved them into more of a software solutions today, right? Instead of professionals consulting. And as such, then that's the rest of the time. But with Warescape, it's really great. It works on your environment. It's all metadata driven. It handles all of the complexities and ambiguity, as well as the overhead when it comes to managing your data warehouse. And as such, right, as a single sole developer, being skilled in this tool, you have the potential to be as efficient as multiple developers in this space, right? So because of that, you get time savings, right? You don't have to do hand typed coding, right? It does all of that for you underneath the hood, as well as just being more efficient, right? As a developer without having to focus on all of the overhead and the administrative baggage that comes along with building out data warehouses or database platforms, especially when it comes with Data Vault, right? You want to be as efficient as possible. You want to be able to turn on a dime when business request changes, and you want to be able to iterate very quickly. And tools with like this, like Warescape, allows you to do just that. So anyways, I more than welcome to, I mean, I invite everyone here listening to come check us out. Again, you can come to warescape.com and you'll be able to see all the things that we have done. We've been in the business, like I said, for a very, very long time, and we've helped out a lot of clients in all sorts of industries when it comes to building out data warehouses and database foundations. So again, I know Cindy is not here today, but thank you very much for inviting us, and glad to be a part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanne. That is very apt. Please join me in welcoming Raman Perivella from Resultant to present their slide. Please take the floor.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. I'm Raman Pervela. I'm a portfolio leader with the Resultant. For those who don't know, we are a data consulting firm that we partner with organizations across the both public and private sectors. We deliver a variety of projects all within the data space, including driving large-scale data modernization initiatives. We work very closely with our clients to design, build, and scale modern data platforms, especially where there's a lot of complexity, there are a lot of legacy systems, and enterprise transformation intersect. Over the years, with Resultant, we delivered multiple data warehouses, data lakehouse platforms using Data Vault methodology. We helped organizations create data foundations that are scalable, auditable, and resilient to change. Particularly my experience with Resultant, I work with organizations in healthcare, aerospace, education, insurance, different verticals, and I know that they all adopted Data Vault methodology and have been able to stand up their data platforms on data lake and warehouses. What we love about Data Vault is that it's built for reality. It's changing business rules, evolving source systems, and the need for speed without sacrificing governance or trust. Right now, at Resultant, we have a large team that's working on a large-scale data modernization initiative for a major client in insurance space. We implemented a Data Vault 2.1 Lakehouse as the enterprise data foundation. The platform is being used for enterprise-wide reporting, supports their CRM, and multiple downstream analytics and operational use cases. Right, we have implemented the Data Vault 2.1 best practices to enable faster delivery while maintaining strong data lineage and auditability. And I think this is where it gets exciting for the future, right? With a well-implemented Data Vault platform just doesn't support reporting. It becomes the launch pad for AI, which we're going to talk more in this session today. Uh, high, the high quality historical data, business context, and trusted pipelines, right? They're all exactly what's needed to make a initiative successful. And based on what we have seen so far, a strong data vault foundation is no longer optional. Especially, it's a difference between experimenting with data versus uh, delivering a real business impact. So if your organization or if you're thinking about modernizing your platform or thinking about some of the AI initiatives or struggling to turn your complex data into trusted insights, let's talk. We'd like to share what we have learned over the years from variety of clients, compare our notes, and we can help you accelerate your data vault journey from foundation to AI-ready platform. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you so much, Raman, for that presentation. I'm going to be welcoming, we don't have the presenter, but from Vault Speed,
I'm
as you can
here
see.
actually.
Oh, all right. Please go
Sorry.
ahead. Thank you so much.
Hi everybody, my name is Paul Kinnear. I'm with Vault Speed. It's great to see you all. Sorry, it is a bit of a last minute thing. I was just asked to step in for somebody just a little while ago. Vault Speed, data vault automation tool. Been in the data vault space for a long time. I myself have been in the data vault space, automation space for a long time. We also started as a consulting company. We have branched into the U.S. It's also a Belgian-based company, and we also have an office here in the U.S. in the Greater Boston area. I'm in Albany, New York, but I mean we'll call that the Greater Boston area. We are an enterprise level data vault automation tool. It's good to see you guys too. Yeah, so we are a no-code solution. We work on any major platform, Snowflake, Databricks, you name it. You see all the logos there. We automate the uh, not only the generation of, hubs, links, and satellites, but also the store procedures. So your mappings, your ETL, your model. We start with the model. We've got quite a bit of AI integrated into the tool with the ability to still support, the person behind the chair, So we have a little speeder, a little AI assistant embedded into our tool now. Pretty cool. Helps you use the tool for usability without having to chase people like me down. I am in professional services, so we have a professional services in Europe and in the US. So if you guys are current Vault Speed users, give me reach out. I'd love to work with all of my different customers. Been implementing Data Vault for a very long time. I do have a couple quick notes. I know I can't talk too long, so just bear with me here. VaultSpeed has the ambition to reduce friction in deploying Data Vault in an enterprise even more. Stay tuned for a couple of major product releases. We have a super duper product release coming into the information layer. We call it VaultSpeed Studio or Template Studio. So we are now going to get data out of the data vault extremely quickly. All right. We're getting even more feedback on the importance of the trifecta of having your data vault model, your pipelines, and your documentation always in sync. Our product is all encompassing. VaultSpeed is going to open up to the wider data vault community. We've got some really great things coming out with Snowflake and Databricks as far as integrated application. So you're gonna actually may hear about that from other people in the call here today. So anyway, Paul Kinnear from VaultSpeed. So great to see you all. Thanks so much, and please reach out. I'll put my thing in the chat. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you so much, Paul. Let's welcome Matt Collett from the Data Field Builder. Yeah, you're welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Yeah, hi everyone. Similar to a couple of our competitors on the call today, we're an end-to-end automation solution for your data warehouse. There's obviously quite a lot going on this slide here, so you might want to grab a screenshot. I'm not going to go through it all. It's really just telling you kind of what we can do, what we can automate within the data warehouse. I think I'll just focus quickly on our USPs. I think one of the big things for me really is how quickly Data Vault Builder can help you deliver on your projects. And this is something that's kind of proven. We've won awards for this. So we've won awards for things like, excuse me, time to delivery, project length, these sorts of things. And part of how we're doing this is we have a very shallow learning curve as well. So if you, we have a really good online training platform. So if anyone wants to give it a go, it's completely free. Just drop me an email. I'll put my email in the chat and I can set you up and you can have a play with it and see what you think. I think one of the other things to mention as well, we have very high standards for our security compliance as well. So we are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We're also ISO certified as well. We we collaborate, I think, is one of the big things for us as well. We collaborate with other tools in your data warehouse. So if you have, you don't have to reinvent the wheel and push out, other tools that you might be using that are already working for you. We try to collaborate with those tools, part of that is reducing vendor lock-in and these sorts of topics which are close to the heart for a lot of people nowadays. And I think also finally just to mention we have like a very flexible licensing model as well. So whilst we can support smaller customers, a couple of users, up to these enterprise scale businesses as well, so we can support that. We have a very flexible licensing model, so you can scale and grow as required. Some of our customers have got over 40 developers all working simultaneously through distributed development on the data warehouse, on the data vault as well. So yeah, I'll put my email in the chat, and if anyone wants to have a free trial, just drop me an email. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thanks.
Yeah, please let's welcome Joe O'Hara from Heon Collective. Do we have Joe? Or do we have anyone from Heon Collective that can speak to the slide?
I'll jump in quickly. Paul Kinnear again. Eon Collective is a SI in North America, Africa, and India. They've actually been acquired recently, probably why we have an absence of their team members. So they've been acquired recently, and excellent company. Robert Scott, solutions architect, excellent advocate of Data Vault, data governance specialties, data modernization, data warehousing, over 30 plus years in the business. And yes, another great SI.
Thank you so much, Paul. Please join me. Welcome, Seven Rivers, John Price.
Thanks very much, and good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. We are, partner here with Seven Rivers. Seven Rivers and Performance G2 came together about 2 years ago, but some folks may still recognize the PG2 logo, so we kept it up here. But we are a Snowflake elite partner, actually. We just got our elite status. And so we're very, very excited about that. And we are, real proponents of a strong data foundation. We really help customers build out their data to drive AI and agentic capabilities within an organization. And invariably, that always brings us back to the data itself. And so that's why we're such strong proponents of Data Vault as well, because that's really provides the rock bottom foundation that companies really need, and oftentimes they don't realize that until they get further down the journey and wonder why the data is not quite as accessible. So and we love to automate as much as we can, and so we're partners with a lot of the folks here on this call, because when you do Data Vault, you also need to have a great automation tool. So great to see the other partners. We focus really on the full data stack, what we refer to sort of as the data native model. And that foundation layer is obviously built on Data Vault, but then we help customers build out the middle tier, which is really the what we kind of think of as the insights layer, and then also on the top tier of that we view as sort of the actions tier. And so we then help customers really use the data to help drive the business in new and exciting ways. And all of that capability is really predicated on a strong foundation in Data Vault. And so excited to be here today and to hear more about what's going on in the industry.
Thank you so much, John. Can I please welcome Mary to speak for Data Rebel in the absence of Cindy, please?
So Data Rebels is driven by Cindy Meyerson, and they teach the Data Vault certification, the CDVP 2.1 training. And it's just a really great way to learn Data Vault. And I've been through the training, certified, and they're really great at that. I really highly recommend that you look into them. If you're interested in Data Vault, you're interested in learning Data Vault, you're in the middle of a Data Vault project, it really, really helps to build very successful business-centric Data Vaults.
Thank you so much, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you for waiting this far. I'm going to be welcome Thibaut de Var from the Vector. I hope I pronounced your name very well.
No, the name is Thibaut de Vilder. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem. Voilà, so I'm the founder and CEO of De Facto. De Facto is 25 years old, always dealing in data management matters. In fact, we are also a Belgian-based company with offices in Brussels, Paris, and recently we opened an office in Chicago, in fact, because basically we are joint venturing with an American company on a specific project that I will present later on. We embrace data vaulting since 2012, I think. So we have a solution called bVault, which is also an end-to-end data management automation solution, which is VTCP certified, so Vernon Tool certified program by the Data Vault Alliance since Augustus 23. We have applications running in financial services, top 5 banks in Europe, retail organization, industry, association, and public sector. We work also for governments, in fact. So we are very keen on all the, I would say, security and infrastructure matters, in fact. We are looking for implementation partners in the US. Features include, so like I mentioned, the VTCP certification. We have an embedded data quality framework and data compliance framework, which is very interesting. And which has a great impact on presentation that we will do. We are techno-agnostic, meaning you can choose the database, the Postgres of Snowflake, IBM DB2, and we will release the Redshift compatibility very soon. You can choose your infra, you can install this on-prem. And basically, it can also be run and maintained by non-technical data experts, which has a great impact on CapEx and OpEx for the business side. And also, it ensures a long-term relationship with the implementation because most of our clients are using a solution for 7 to 8 years, in fact. Voilà. Built to run, designed to change. That's what we will explain, apply to AI. Thank you.
And thank you very much to all of our sponsors. Mary, if you'd like to introduce our next speaker, we'll go ahead and get into the first meat and potatoes of the episode.
Yeah. Love to. I would love to. So our first speakers are from De Facto, who just spoke, which, by the way, Thibaut, I love your accent, so I'm really looking forward to hearing you for an hour. Anyway, I'm super excited about this event, and particularly this topic, Data Vault as the AI semantic layer. So Thibaut de Vilder is the first speaker. Well, they're going to co-speak. And he's the founder and the CEO of De Facto. It's a Belgian data management and automation company that he created 25 years ago. He's a longtime Data Vault practitioner. He started with Data Vault 1 in 2012, and he's been driving the DV2 adoption across multiple sectors since. He's focused on model-driven automation to deliver trusted, auditable, AI-ready ready data at scale, and that are coherent with our traditional BI and our data governance outcomes that we all look for. Under his leadership, de facto became the first Data Vault Alliance tool certification, receiving that certification. So that's a really big deal, and we're really excited about that. He regularly works with partners and enterprise stakeholders to industrialize data governance, quality, compliance, and our analytical outcomes. So our second speaker is Mark Debrulé, and he is the product owner of bVault, which is de facto's Data Vault automation tool. I actually call this not just a Data Vault automation tool, but it's a Data Vault acceleration tool for us. Okay, and Mark's been with de facto for 8 years. And he is an established Data Vault 2.1 practitioner. He successfully implemented Data Vault architectures, varying scales across multiple industries, and gaining deep insight into the practical challenges and the opportunities of the modern data modeling. All right, well, I can't wait for this presentation. And so Thibaut and Mark, take it away.
Okay,
Thank you, Mary.
Mhm.
We'll just share my screen. Yes. It says that I cannot share the screen while another participant is sharing the screen. So,
1 moment.
thank you, Noel.
All right, go for it.
Okay, perfect. Do you see my screen? No. Now you should see it.
There it is.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so next slide.
Yes, sorry. Go ahead, Thibaut.
Voilà, that's what I created this morning. Is all what we all know that, in fact. So that's basically you have always a layer about data foundation that nobody thinks about. Then there is a lot of stuff dealing with reporting, dashboarding, data analytics, and then agentic, which is on the top, is always something which is presented to be very easy, but relying on all these layers. So the first statement is that we strongly believe that AI and BI require data foundations which are very strong if you want to not only deliver today, but also deliver in the future. And once again, if you want to have something that runs all the time and that in fact is designed to change all the time. Next. Recent study from MIT stated that 95% of the AI implementation today do not go to production, in fact. So they remained in the labs, they remained in the validation. And in fact, at the end of the day, that's a huge amount of money which is spent. And when you see the roots and the origin of the issue, it's not about AI, which is evolving all the time, but it has to do with scattered silos, poor data quality of the data which is provided, and basically the inability today of I would say the AI agents to deal with multiple sources of data truth. So they need to receive something from a unique source, which is of high quality and which is based on all these data. Second stuff, which is very important to understand, is that what, as a consumer in the B2C world, you conceive as being roughly right when you receive, you chat something, you create an email, you make a statement, can be 80% right, and then you find it nice. But when it comes to paying back customer with an amount, you need to have the right customer and you have to have the right amount. So it means that the quality of the answer of AI shouldn't be 80%, should be 99.99999, and basically you need to take the risk and assess. So I make the link to this very interesting study There is also in the comments, I will send you the comments, another document about the World Economic Forum stating all these elements and explaining, in fact, the issue. Next slide. So, as we are in the data vault today, two things. So, I will not come back to all the benefits that are linked to embracing the norm. Dan, when we spoke in Sto in 23, I think you told me you just have to embrace the norm and you get all the benefits, in fact. And in fact, when you think about the benefits of just embracing data vaulting as it is today, you own and you build a semantic model. What is a semantic model? Basically, data vault is a semantic model, but there are many more of the semantic models out there, but none of them is as much specified as data vault is, in fact, today. And when it's specified, you can automate, in fact. So the idea is that first you get data connected with a meaning. And why it's very important for AI is that AI is reasoning with the data. It's not just pushing the data to AI and expecting something. You need to understand, and you need all the metadata, the links and the satellites are part of the context, in fact, that you need to be sent. Second, we all know that everything is historized, and if you want to create something for the next period, you better have all the historization of the data. Third, there are some elements of data quality. I think that we pushed a little bit further the quality and compliance, but basically you can implement data quality controls, in fact, in the data vault. Last but not least, it ensures that whatever model you have can be extended, can be changed without having to change anything, just adding stuff, which makes it very easy to understand that the hubs, the links, the satellites, and all the, I would say, the bridge and the pit tables, but that's something different later on, can be considered as a single source of truth for AI, in fact. Okay, so that's what brings, in fact, the data vault part. Next. What we realize is that the relationship between the data vault and the AI can be different types. In fact, it can accelerate, and these three elements will be presented by Mark in the next part of the presentation. He will have some demos and stuff like that to show you why we use AI to accelerate the creation of a vault. I don't know. But this is where we are today. When we have a right analysis with the list of hubs, the list of links, which is built, so it means that the integration part has been analyzed, we can drop and eventually we can create automatically, in fact, the data vault. It doesn't mean that it's done fully by AI, but it's just an accelerator. What we see also is that on the output side of the B Vault, when we need to feed RAG agents, when we need to feed the agent with quality data, most of the people today, they try to do everything inserting in a vector database or through metadata. And in fact, we have a dual approach where qualitative and quantitative data can be put together and presented to the AI so that they can select and look for the details, in fact. And both together are very game-changing because the selection is right and the content is right also, which increase a little bit the answer of the AI agent. Third, very important also, most of the insights that you can create, we can reintroduce as data source in the B Vault, which means that they're part of the knowledge base. In fact, they became new data assets. So it accelerates, it ensures accuracy, and in fact, it's building once again the foundation for something which is game changing. Next one, please. B Vault is a bunch of modules, but we definitely try to limit them. So we only have 4 modules. Why? Because we aim at letting, in fact, non-technical people use it, run it, maintain it, and so on. So it has to be very simple. The first module is about building. We have 4 modules about the modeling, and 1 module is about executing and orchestrating, in fact. So the first module is about building the model. Once again, we start with the model. Why? Because we start with a request on the right-hand side about artificial intelligence, business intelligence, or data governance. We create the model first. We connect the data source. We are fully aligned with the data vault on this part, on the raw part. In fact, everything is historized. We verify, we add the data quality controls, data compliance control, and enrichment, and then we distribute the same data sets to various channels such as data governance, BI, and AI. And that's very important for us. Why? Because it means that they all are consistent, in fact. So it means that when you read a report, you know what's in the mind of the agent, and the data quality controls that you have are based exactly on the same data. So this is not a threefold layer, different type of stuff, different type of technologies. This is just something that needs to be sourced based on the same stuff. Orchestrator is just the place where all the four first modules, they just validate the model. And once the model is validated, we turn this into codes, which is directly run on the database server by an orchestrator that can run every day, every minute, every week, every month, every quarter. And in fact, which is monitoring the execution of it. Some clients use their own orchestrator. We provide one which is very open and very easy. And last but not least, you can choose the database, you can choose the infrastructure, and you can switch from one to the other, in fact, very easily. This is not a migration project. This is just a new configuration of a new environment. Voila. So what we create is no multiple truth, in fact, at the end of the day, because all the outcomes, which are just the ones that are generating the value, they are all consistent all the time and fully automated, in fact. Next. We've been working a lot in the implementation of platform which is called Destinator. So basically, Destinator is collecting information about today 540 different destinations in the world to organize major events. And in fact, we realized that there was no place on Earth where all this data was stored, in fact, and it's evolving all the time on a daily basis. So we have information about 540 different destinations, and we have an agent that has the ability to compare destination. How do you do it without it? You have to go on every single visit Brussels, visit Chicago, visit Orlando site. You provide different type of information, and basically, we will show you how it's working based on a data vault architecture, which is, by the way, based on a data vault, which is basically based on a bvault solution. So what we learned there was a lot of issues. Going to prod with 10 destinations in a ChatGPT or whatever, very simple with a big context window is very easy. Moving on to 500 or several thousand is totally different matter, in fact. But what we realize is that the technology that we provide allows this to do it. Next. So you can do it without or with the data vault. I believe that single sourcing, being able to have an AI which is certified versus the data, it's easy to move from prod to production. And in fact, you can have AI-ready platform in days and not in months. So you can see straight away the benefits and you can iterate much more faster. So what I would like to introduce is about a new paradigm, which is made of 4 points. First, you need to integrate your data before doing any type of AI because you will have the issue anyhow. Second, think about the big directional value because AI is providing value to the data vaulting and the other way around. You must be future proof, which means that you need to have an architecture that allows you to do it. And whatever you produce should be all the time coherent and aligned. You shouldn't produce a report without knowing its underlying quality. You shouldn't feed any AI agent without knowing exactly the quality of the information that you send to him. And that's basically what we think is game changing in this presentation and in this approach. So I let the floor to Mark, which will illustrate a little bit what we talk about, mainly on these 3 different type of collaboration that we see between AI and data vaulting.
Thank you, Thibaut. So hi everyone, my name is Mark. I will do the second part of this presentation and it's subdivided in chapters. I want to show you 3 different use cases. First, you need to build a data vault to have all the data available for your agent. We have an automated solution. Other sponsor here also have one. But I want to show you, and I will do a small demo, how AI can use those automated tools to go even faster for your data vault implementation. So that's the first use case. Then I will show you in detail how you can build an AI-ready foundation with a data vault and what are the benefits of using a data vault for your AI platform. I will go in a little bit more in detail for Destinator just to show you how it is structured behind it. And lastly, I will just show you a quick overview on how you can use the AI output as a source of your data vault. So first, here is a little story of how people are doing data vault implementation. So first, most people were doing it manually. We see that less and less now. Most of companies that are going to the data vault now use automation tools. And what we see is that you can go around 8 times faster doing so. But now, if you provide access to your automation tool to AI agents, they can do the implementation for you, and you switch the role from implementer to reviewer. This is really important because you still are accountable and responsible of what the AI will produce. So it's really important to have human in the loop, but all the repetitive task, you can automate that with AI agents. And that's what I will show you a little later. So I will just explain a few concepts here. Probably most of you know already that, but just to have a quick reminder. So what makes an architecture agentic? So the purpose is to have a user input, a human input, sent to an agent to produce an output. To do so, it will interpret your prompt, so your question in natural language, and it will do a plan and use tools. And if based on the response of the tools, it can analyze and change the plan on the way, sorry. And so those are the three main action, I would say. Three main concepts of an agent is the capacity of using tools, the capacity of taking decisions, and the iterative approach is really important here, meaning that once the AI agent provided you an output, you can iterate and ask more questions to further go on your task actually. What we see more and more on the market for AI is MCP, so the Model Context Protocol. And what it is basically just a way to provide access to your agent, to tools, prompts, and resources. And basically, it allows you to just take your MCP server and whatever the tool you will have to build your agent, you can just plug and play. It will ease the integration of tools to your agent. If you are doing it like connecting the APIs of your tool, you can do it, but changing from one tool to another will be more complicated because you may have 50 different API calls to configure. With an MCP server, you will have just a list of tools already configured in the MCP server, and you just have to connect to the agent, and the agent will have the list of tools dynamically. So it will ease the process of moving from one tool to another to build your AI agent. It's really important because we see new tools to build those agents every month. So it's really important to not be locked once you already did your implementation. And here I will show you a demo, but I will show you a demo of how, with an MCP server, we used the bvaults API to actually do the implementation. And what we see is that we can go 30 times faster doing so. And the advantage of an MCP server, you see here, it's a little workflow in end. but I will do the demo in another tool, and basically switching from one tool to another is like 5 minutes. So I will just show you the little demo. So here I have the one project in bvault, and you see it's empty. I don't have any hubs, any links, and I will implement a small project. I have here on support.bvault.io, it's the documentation of bvault. We have a small use case here with a data model, and we will implement it directly with our agent. So I exported the documentation on PDF, and I have here Dust. Dust is a tool that we use at de facto. It allows you to build your agents. And I have here a little agent that use the MCP for bvault, and I will just tell it implement the data model attached in the project AI. So the project AI is basically here on this project, and I will just provide the PDF file. So the PDF file is just an export of the documentation. Just create the hubs and links for the moment. What it will do, it will actually analyze the PDF file. It will detect the different entities listed in the PDF file, and it will use, if we look here, it will first search in the currently existing model, just to ensure not creating a hub that is already existing in our model. So it is doing some search, and here it detected that you need to create a hub employee, a hub car, etc., etc. Same for the links, and it will ask me to create them physically. So yes. And now the agent will use different tools to actually create the hubs and the links in bvault. The thing is that doing so, you have all the possibilities of an AI agent in terms of speed, but you are using an automation tool, meaning that you ensure that the structures of your objects will be correct. And you ensure that you will be able to send the different code based on the platform that you are targeting. So here, if I go back to bvault and I refresh the page, you see now I have my data model here. And the advantage is that it took like a few seconds. All the metadata are already filling. So this is, if I need to do that manually here in bvault, it will take like 20 minutes to fill in all the metadata. And here we can do it in few seconds. And the MCP server here of bvault can do actually pretty much everything that you can do in the application. Here is just a little demo just to show you that we can go really fast with that. The thing is that we want to keep human in the process, and that's why I provided the analysis, and this is really important. You need to do the analysis first, because you need to ensure that the definitions, the concept that you will use are aligned with your enterprise, your company. But once you did the analysis, all the implementation can go really, really fast here, and you can have a data vault in few minutes by using this kind of tool.
Maybe Mark to make some statements about this. To be honest, the documentation can be any type, so we don't have specific templates. We want to be as complete as possible in the analysis part, in the integration phase of the source and so on creating the model, but it doesn't have to be very specific and so on. So any type of good analysis of the implementation needs of a data vault can be injected in such a solution. Second, that the stuff that we have can be replicated in most of the AI LLMs on the market today. You just need a specific prompt, which is complementary to the Bivol part, so that and how to set the connection between the tools. But basically, this is something that doesn't need to be done in a specific LLM, can be done in most of them. And as they are becoming more and more complete, the quality will be much higher. I don't know if anyone has question on this part or.
Do not hesitate to ask your question directly in the chat so that we can answer them if you have any. I will just go back to.
So this is the first, I would say, combination interaction between the data vaulting and the AI. We just accelerate the creation of the, I would say the easy part, but which is always complicated. In fact, voilà.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, it's really important to have AI and humans remain really important in the process, mostly with Data Vault, which is a business-oriented methodology. So we have a question: did the agent read the description from the PDF? Yes, actually, I can just show you the PDF. So actually here we have in the PDF, we have the different list of tables and columns that we have in our source, and we listed the different entities. So if I go further, I can ask the agent to create the staging tables, map the different columns and so on. But it read everything that we have here, and we have also a little schema here. So it analyzed the content, but actually what I tested is you can provide any type of analysis. I don't know if you're aware of, but there is the Willibald challenge, which is a challenge from the German Data Vault community. They have a website with the business case presented, and I just sent the link of the website to the agent, and it was able to just create the data model from the website. If you want to iterate, if I want to add manually, I would say a new concept, I can just ask it directly. So can you talk about the analysis phase? What does the user need to do, and what is the analysis artifact produced? Actually, as I just mentioned, it really depends on your process. De facto, we have business analysts that are going to the client. They are speaking with the client to know about the concept that they use, the processes and so on, to design the data model with them. Some other partners we are working with are using AI agents to provide the analysis, to do the analysis based on the database schema, for instance. So it really depends on your company. Here, I would say it's you just need to provide information to the agent so that he can build the data model. Whatever the format that you have, it's quite intelligent actually. So it understands if you send just a picture, it will understand it. If you send just a list of objects and definitions, it can also do the same. So that's our first use case. We have different other use case. We have blog articles that are coming on those topics, but here we are quite limited on the time. So I just wanted to show you this because I think that the speed that we have here is quite game changing. Yes, it can generate data vault from conceptual model because actually what we have here is a conceptual model. The physical model behind it is generated by Bvault. So all the structure that you will have is generated by Bvault. So yes. So here we will go a little bit more in detail on how a data vault can be a foundation for AI agents. So here I just show you an agent that will implement a data vault, but what most companies want is actually an agent, an AI agent that can use their data to answer questions and operate actions. Sorry, we have a lot of different questions. I will try to answer them afterwards in the chat so that we can continue here. I will after the presentation, I will answer them directly in the chat if that's okay for you. So as Thibaut mentioned, 95% of AI initiative fail. There are different problems actually, and most of the time it's not the AI itself. The AI agents are quite capable most of the time. It's more what you are feeding to your agent. And the thing is that agents, when you are providing too many tools, they can get lost. And so if you want to connect all the data sources that you have to your agent, it might at some point first it will work pretty well, but when you will add more tools, it might get lost actually. And so having this data vault model with all the data integrated can help afterward, because you will reduce the number of tools needed for your AI agent. Data quality, garbage in, garbage out applies also to AI agents, of course. And this is really important. Whatever the use case that you have, it may be AI, traditional BI, and so on. Data quality is really important. And then the missing business context. It's really important is that if you have columns that are not self-explanatory, like SAP, for instance, your agent won't be able to actually answer your question that are in natural language, because the question that you will ask will not match the data structure. With the data vault methodology, the model itself is already more business oriented, but if you are adding some metadata to it, now you have all the tools, all the resource for your agent to understand your question and to get the correct information afterwards. So how we are doing that with bvault, and basically the graph that you see here below is the structure that we apply to destinator that I will present a little bit later. So the first thing is basically what I just said about the data vault. I'm sure you're all aware of that, is that you will consolidate all the source system, all the source data into one model. This means that instead of having like 10 different tools here, you can reduce that to only one afterwards, and you can connect your AI agents directly on your information mart, or we will see a little bit later, to a vector database to answer your question. So this is really important. And as I mentioned earlier, we have new tools for to build AI agents every month, I would say. So if you need to redo all the complexity of connecting all your sources to your AI agent, it can be difficult to change from one tool to another. When you are integrating all the data in one place, changing from one tool to another becomes much more easier. Quality insurance. This is not something that we have in the standard, I would say, for the data vault, but we have an integrated data quality module with bvault that actually runs on top of the raw vault, and it's structured like with links and satellites and pit tables. So basically, you can do that in any data vault platform, but it ensures that the quality you have in your raw vault is good. And if it's not, you will fix the data in the source, extract the data again, control it again, and hopefully you will improve the data quality of your data vault. And this is important because while you will improve the data quality, you will also improve the result of your AI agent because it will answer more accurately, actually. And the metadata, also important, as I said, is that you will have the description of all your concepts of your process, your processes and your transactions and so on by adding metadata in every step of the data vault. And this is really important. And that's why we are putting some metadata at all the places in bVault you have the metadata. And when you are filling the metadata, the AI agent afterwards, if you are building it correctly, can use those metadata to understand the questions and to answer more accurately also. And this is at the end what we have is that we have the source, we have our data vault with our data quality module, metadata everywhere. And what we do is that we are putting all the descriptive information in vector database. It allows us to do semantic research and answer more accurately on the semantic level. And this is really important because you can, if you want to, you can provide access to a traditional database, but if the user is not using the exact same words as you have in your database, the AI agent won't answer correctly. So having a vector database to be able to do semantic research is really important. But for all the different quantitative information, it can be useful to have a traditional database and let your agent do queries directly on your database so that the AI agent can build queries based on the request to aggregate data, sum the data and so on, or filter the data based on some parameters. And so that's what we did for Destinator actually. And therefore, your agent only has two different tools, one for the qualitative information, one for the quantitative information. And just with these two tools, the AI agent can answer all the questions and can easily fetch the correct data. It's more optimized also token-wise because it will already group the quantitative information. You don't have to gather all the vectors to then merge the data and aggregate the quantitative data. No, here you can let your agent do the queries directly to reduce the amount of data that you will feed your agent with, and then your token will be you will use less token, and it will cost less for your AI platform actually.
Mark, can I tell a little story about this? In the very beginning, once we started, we tried to explain to the AI all what he had to do, in fact, because we had a very bunch of process and he got lost, in fact. And we asked for that AI expert, which was, I think, 22 years old. He came along and he said, you know, you have all the data which is of high quality, so why are you specifying what the agent must do? And the guy in front of me, he made a system prompt that say, you are the best expert knowing all the destinations. You have two tools. Please try to answer as good as possible to the question which is raised. And this was the answer that were provided by the agent were better versus what we tried to do before. And I can tell you that with the new version of AI, the last version of Gemini and stuff like that, the last version of OpenAI is becoming much more better, in fact. So the whole idea lies in the fact that it needs to be very simple because the agents become much more intelligent. And if you provide them with the right data and the right metadata explaining everything, they can answer, I think, better than what a human could be on a specific matter, in fact. And that's the whole idea, because he shouldn't answer besides what the data which is provided to him. Voilà. Sorry.
No problem. We have two different questions here. Can it insinuate context from bridges and explanatory links? Yes, actually. Again, if you provide metadata, it can understand the context. If you have if the name of your bridges and links are self-explanatory, most of the time it can understand it. What we see, and this will also answer Mary questions. I will just show you. Actually, it will be.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's besides, in fact, the presentation of today. So we are very happy to make a demo, but
The thing
whatever.
is that actually you can create as many agents as you want. And to answer the question of Mary, in bVault, pit tables, you can create them just by clicking on an entity, and you create a new pit table directly. For bridges, the thing is that for bridges, you will have to navigate in your graph. So what we provide is you can put some SQL to build your bridge. And what we see is that we already have an agent that is capable of doing research in the Data Vault model that you have, and you explain the path to build your bridge, for instance, and it can generate the SQL code to do it directly, so that you can also put descriptive attributes, quantitative information directly in your bridge if needed for performance reasons, etc. So is the AI deriving a better answer than a human expert or just faster? That's why it's important to have humans, I think, because you may have some good answers, but it can hallucinate for the analysis, and this is really important. You have to check everything that is coming from the AI, and that's why I really prefer, and that's why we focused the demonstration here on just doing the implementation, but not thinking for you, actually. So it's basically just copy paste from the analysis. So this is really important. I will just keep on. I will answer the question afterwards in the chat because they are quite interesting. But yes, it's really important to keep human in the loop and to remain accountable and responsible for everything that you have in your data vault. So this is just a summary of everything that I just said. So I won't go further on this. Destinator. Actually, you can try it yourself if you want to on www.destinator.com, and basically it's an agent that can that allow you to organize your event and find destinations that fit your criterias. And we provide all the data, and they are curated data coming from different places that are fed to the AI agent. So as you can see, we use bVault and so it's a data vault behind it. And we have different sources here in our data model. It's really important. We also have data quality because it's really important to ensure that the data is filled in, the data is accurate, and so on and so on. So that's how we can keep track on the data quality directly. And finally, we are collecting data because it can be difficult to have data, qualitative information about destinations from all across the world. So what we do is we provide an interface to fill in the metadata, fill in all the data about the destination. They are created, and then we feed that to the AI agent. So you can try it yourself if you want to. You can log in Destinator, but basically Destinator is everything that we just showed you today. and it's working, it's live. So it's you can have you can try it actually. One thing that we do also with Destinator is we are using the output of the agent as a new source in our data vault. The thing is that the AI agent will provide also information, and you can extract and use AI to extract data and extract information. You can do entity extraction, sentimental analysis, and so on with AI. All the data that you will extract from unstructured data can become a source of your data vault. And this is how you can do it. So you have already a data vault with few entities and so on. Then you will create an information Marts for your AI agent, just to provide the information. It can be referenced to files if you need to extract information from files, etc. You use the different APIs to ask an LLM to extract information or do a sentiment analysis or whatever the use case that you have. And you ask it, what we do is we ask the AI to provide an only answer with a JSON. Anthropic APIs also have the structured output that forces the format at the end. And this becomes a new source of our data vault. And you can integrate that in your data vault model so that you can do AI-enriched analytics, and you can extract information from unstructured document if you want to. And this is really important to us also in the Destinator project, because we can then extract information from different conversation if needed, just to know what are the trends in the usage of Destinator. So I'll just show you 3 different use cases and synergies between the data vault and the AI. They are not use cases that they are these use cases. You can combine them and use them together to have a platform that are feeding the AI, but also using the AI output, and you can go really fast with that. And this is what we see for the moment, is that the data vault works pretty well actually to have the good foundation for your AI agent, but also to easily integrate new sources. Those are the advantages that we are aware of, and that normally you should know, because it's just the basic concept of the data vault, but applied to the AI technologies that are currently available. So that's it for our presentation. Thank you for your time. I will try to answer the different questions here. And thank you for all the questions. They are really interesting. So that's it for me.
Thank you. And like I said in the chat, we are eventually available for any demos. Just feel free to contact, and we can much more details. We just gave you some part of the potential of the tools, and we use it in so many different ways. So basically, we think that's something to share and to explain. Thank you.
If people think of different questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll send them to Mark and Theo.
Perfect.
Yes, if we have 5 minutes, I can answer them directly. If you want to, it will be better, I think. So any difference using conceptual, logical, or physical model? As I mentioned, in bVault, you do the conceptual model. All the physical part will be directly managed by bVault. And so actually you can choose here. It really depends, and whatever the platform that you use, actually, if the tool provides an API, you will be able to build what we did here. So how you are guaranteeing the result in terms of defensibility when AI produces a result for your customer? This is really a really important question. You are still responsible for all the AI outputs, and companies have already had issues in the past for that. The thing is that when you providing only few tools to the AI agent and direct access to the data, what we see is that it hallucinates practically never. I won't say never because because it might still happen, but the output is much more accurate when you are doing things like that. But that's also why we loop back and extract the data again, because you need to analyze the result of your, and you need to test the result of your AI before putting it in production. This is really important. Afterwards, after that, it's more a legal a legal concern, and that's actually not my expertise. So but you need to be careful, and you need to have the rigor of putting processes to test the AI, and start small with the different type of questions, and every now and then retest, because the model changes, and it can be interesting to see the different changes that you have in the answers.
Maybe Mark, you can answer in a different way also. For example, for destinator with 540 destinations, STO is not in it. So it means that it will never answer by STO, because we tell the agent, and most of the system prompt is about saying you only answer when you're sure, and when you find the answer, you cannot go out there on the web asking for additional information, blah, blah, blah. And this is where, in fact, it's kind of different from traditional, in fact, AI agents, which are used on a B2C level, in fact, you see. Then that's why. So we try to, as much as possible, ask him to answer based on the knowledge that we provide, which we know is of high quality. So that's the trade-off between the two. So we ask the agent not to use, not to hallucinate, not to request something else versus the information that we have. So we try to be as much complete as possible with data which has been validated by the 540 different destinations. Voilà. So when I speak about destination, I can speak about a lot of stuff, can be any type of concept, any type of hubs, and it applies to these, in fact. Voilà.
Regarding the question about how are you validating AI generates business keys, again, this is why I recommend to have the analysis part done by humans. I already saw different tools that analyze the data and provide the data vault structure. But most of the time, what they are doing is just deriving the source to a technical data vault, and most of the time they are just taking the IDs, which are most of the time auto-incremented integers, as the business key, which is not a business key. And this is really important to have the step of analyzing your data, analyzing your processes, and so on. And that's why we only use it for the implementation part, not the analysis. And defining your business key is one of the first step of your analysis, actually.
Thank you so much, Mark and Thibaut, for helping us and for giving us this presentation so far. As Mark mentioned, he will continue to answer questions in the chat. If you're needing more questions or have more questions, please feel free to drop them in there, and we'll answer them as best as possible. In the interest of time, we'll take our little 5-minute break, and we will return, well, in 5 minutes. I'm not going to mention a time because I know that we have audiences around the world. So in 5 minutes, we'll come back and we'll start part 2 of our presentation. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and do it. Hate steal Jim's thunder. I know he'd say nice things about me. My name is Brian Mull, and I am founder and CEO of a company called datastack.cloud. Some of you might also know me from my consulting work. And a lot like, and I think real quick pause. I know I sent a request to share my screen. Are we up now? Are we seeing it?
I don't see it yet. Anyone else?
Okay, we should be good now.
There it
Yeah.
is.
All right. So datastack.cloud came out of my consulting practice. And to let you know, I have 18 plus years of data warehouse experience. I was in the corporate world, primarily working in insurance. And in 2018, I had the opportunity to actually use a Data Vault certification I'd earned for my role as a technical lead of a data warehouse team. I had a chance to actually employ that in the building of a data vault for, of all things, pandemic surveillance in 2018. So it was an interesting ride because that project ran through a date we remember in March 2020, which was the actual COVID-19 pandemic. And so we were building a data vault, and we were doing it by hand, building our own automation, created our own metadata repository, and that team there created a data vault that actually was employed during the pandemic. What a baptism by fire that was, and it was great. And since then, I've been in the consulting world. I had a stint at VaultSpeed, which was fantastic. So grateful to that team at VaultSpeed for allowing me the opportunity to have a run there. But now I'm actually doing consulting and productizing a lot of what we're doing and what we call integration as product, where we connect what we think are best of breed tools and help with integrations. And so you're going to see some tools here, and we actually have a recommended tool set that we do in our consulting, and we sell integrations and actually help implement those across different platforms. But you're going to see Snowflake, you're going to see VaultSpeed, you're going to see GitHub, you're going to see a tool called Duo Data. These are all part of our stack in datastack.cloud, and we help implement it primarily on Snowflake. So, but just to zoom out from the tools for a moment, I wanted to talk just for a bit about kind of that afterthought component of your data warehouse, the MetaVault. So you might have, as a consultant or a technical lead, if you've built a data vault, there's all this chatter usually about the MetaVault, maybe the security vault, possibly the metrics vault. And we know in Dan Lindsted's official text for Data Vault 2.0, the previous standard, there's mention of a MetaVault and how it can be useful. But always, after working on dozens of data vaults, you always just sort of get into the data and you want the data delivered. That's what has to happen first, right? And then after the fact, we start thinking about, if we had this data here that for some visibility, we could double check, we could do some auditing, maybe catch some errors before they happen. So what I wanted to do here for a minute is just tell you that I think that we have a MetaVault moment for us, and it's driven a lot by the fact that we have agents coming on the scene. Great talk, De facto. Thanks for showing us how some of the agents can be employed in your stack and your tool set. But we have a moment here when, yes, just seeing the chat flow in. And you can also ask questions here in the chat. So in this moment, I think that the MetaVault is useful because we're moving and seeing a big shift in the world of Data Vault. And let me just explain that. So I'm going to cover eight real slides here that I want to talk about. Talk about the problem, MetaVault history, this great shift that I'm talking about, a little bit about the context window that has to do with AI, how semantics are non-optional, going to propose an architecture for a MetaVault, talk about a model that can fit in as part of that architecture, and then also talk about some examples for how we can use that or use a MetaVault. So some questions that arise for the problem. Where does the context for AI agents come from? It comes from our prompts. It comes from models. It comes from knowledge about the schema. It comes from previous use cases. It comes from feedback about users. But how are we going to pull that all together? And how do you pull this metadata together and make it ready for automation? And what metadata beyond audit and lineage and audit trails, which is primarily what we use a lot of our MetaVault use cases for. In the case of when I built my first data vault, we created a metadata mart that was used to actually drive our own homegrown automation. Okay, and we know that a lot of our tools came out of that. that experimentation by consultants, putting together metadata, figuring out what the templates and patterns are, and then driving the automation off of that. Well, I think we're going to go even beyond that with our MetaVault, and I'll explain why in this talk. And then, of course, the MetaVault, I'm going to explain how I think it can actually tell the story of your data system's evolution. And you think, I don't want to hear that story. That sounds kind of boring. There were a lot of problems in the beginning, and now we're actually delivering data. Well, the story is actually very useful for your AI. So why not create a vault with some historization that can help you learn from the past so you don't stumble in the future, and those agents can use that. So MetaVault history. So prior to Data Vault 2.0, I know I was using, what was like the rudimentary MetaVault, but was actually just like a set of tables that were really audit logs. It might have had an inventory of your load schedules, jobs. There might have been some catalog information, and then like the histories of your jobs, and maybe did we load a table today and did we load a table last week? But as we moved along, the Data Vault 2.0 standard helped us see, okay, we can actually create a metadata vault that could be used for, driving the automation moving forward and understanding what the problems are in the past. So I know we can segment out error vault, segment out meta vault, maybe even segment out security vault, but I'm sort of blending them together in a way here. Going to talk about them in terms of domain. And I think what we can do, building on this concept of meta vault, today we can actually create metadata slices of all our releases, everything about our data vault that can be used to feed intelligence, agent intelligence, that can start helping us with this big shift we see happening. So the great engineering shift, and I know this sounds kind of trite. We've heard a lot of, if you've been to webinars lately, or you just pull up your LinkedIn feed right now, you'll hear something about this, the big shift. Which company has layoffs happening now, or what's the chatter about the next set of layoffs for the big company that's now leveraging agents for their engineering? Well, we all know it's happening, and I know that you've probably been experimenting with some of these tools, chatbots, just what you're doing in Claude Code. I know our team every day. We're in Claude, we're in ChatGPT, we're in all different types of LLMs, connecting, looping, trying to figure out how we can accelerate what we're doing. And it's just mind-boggling. The feedback loop of AI is simply shifting everything to the conceptual layer. So engineering teams used to build data systems to spec on demand. Engineers and project managers would gather the requirements, build the systems and products iteratively and interactively with the business sponsors. Okay, the business is still important, but what we're going to see and what we see moving forward is teams of agents are now going to build data systems on a solid data foundation. So if there's any point I want to make above all as I'm moving through this talk, is that as data warehouse practitioners, as consultants, as leaders of our data teams, as engineers, more than anything, we need to start making sure that the cobbler has good shoes, that our data about our data is thorough, is just like a data warehouse. It's versioned, it's governed, it has the history, it has a model, it has the ability for us to explore it so that we can tell an agent how to explore it and how to get information to help us with, as I'm going to say, position in just a moment, help us with DevOps. Okay, so I'm going to really emphasize the data foundation for helping us with DevOps. It doesn't mean that we're not delivering for the business. We are, but we're going to start doing the business of data warehousing, treating data warehousing as a business with a metadata vault as a repository to capture each iteration of our development of a data vault. So big shift. Engineering teams of agents, and what we're seeing is specialized agents that do different things. So we have a MetaVault shift now where we had documentation and look back at models, mappings, and parameters. For the most part, it was a static reference updated after the fact, consumed by humans and sometimes templating tools. Now, a lot of times we would drive some of our development. There was some forward-looking components to it where we push our parameters and our different data vault signature objects, signature attributes, and components into a database that can then be read by some sort of software, which is what we have in a lot of the data vault automation tools now that have come to full maturity. So now I'm saying we're not just going to place it in a repository for that forward engineering, but we're going to bring that metadata back into the metadata vault so that we can move forward and look at enabling AI and automation systems for DevOps. So our data is not just a look back. It's not just a troubleshooting mechanism, but it's a dynamic set of data assets feeding AI-enabled engineering systems to power development and operations automation. So remember that it's dynamic. So we need to make sure that our metadata vault is kept up to date, that we're deploying all of the metadata with every release. So the metadata vault moment. The metadata vault concept will become increasingly important in the architecture of data warehouses and in particular data vaults due to the shift in engineering from human teams to teams of AI agents. The ideal place to establish the data foundation for these teams, structured, integrated, historized, and accessible and secure in modern data platforms is the metadata vault. So I want to just talk about some of the domains that we want to explore as part of a metadata vault. And there's really two big sides to it. In fact, I'm going to come back to this in just a moment, but I've got a slide that talks about the model. So we'll come back to this and explore the model a little bit, but I want to capture in my metadata vault a conceptual data model, the conceptual data model for my data warehouse. I want to capture the full code base. In data models, I want conceptual, I want logical, I want physical. I want all of those to be captured as part of this. I want the entire code base there, which would include the DDL if I'm deploying to a SQL database. I want semantics and metrics. I want deployment logs. I want mappings and lineage. I want dev tooling. And I want to bring them all in and I want to pull them together. And what I'm proposing and what I've been experimenting with lately is that the central entity for our metadata vault should be the data vault release. Okay, so we've got a release, the first version of the data vault. We put customer information in it aligned with orders. The next release is going to have financials in it. So that release is going to document everything about the process to add financials into it, the code base, changes we needed to make to the platform, deployment, the successes or failures about those deployments, mappings and lineage, all of that's going to be deployed as part of this. So on that left side of the slide, that's the development component of it. So I want to capture everything about development in that DevOps process. But then I also, once I deploy that to my model, or I deploy that to my metadata vault, I want to also capture feedback on what happened, the configuration of the platform, and what happens as these items have been deployed to the target platform. So I want to know about platform config. I want to know about operations logs, end user usage, data quality, security, and performance. So everything about the development portion and the operations portion. So before I jump into my next slide, I wanted to show you briefly some of the information that I'm capturing as part of this metadata vault process. So I'm capturing schema information, both of the info mart where I'm deploying and the data vault underneath it. I'm capturing meta vault information. So I even have the information about my own meta vault. I'm capturing operations metadata, which is primarily gathered from the platforms that I'm using, whether it's ETL orchestration, Snowflake, the target platform. I'm capturing all of these in my GitHub repository. So I'm also, what I want to emphasize here as well is I'm also capturing semantic information. So here I'm going to explain a little bit in a moment about a tool called Duo Data that I'm using to capture semantics here. But then I also want usage information and information about my actual development tool. And in this case, it is Vault Speed. So I'm going to bring that back to the presentation here. So why do I want all of this in one place? And why would I want to have, just think of it this way, we're going to have a hub that is called a Data Vault release. It is Hub Data Vault release. And each time that I deploy all of my artifacts for my Data Vault, I'm going to deploy my code base, I'm going to deploy my semantic layer, my structural, my operational, my usage, and I'm going to capture all of my security information and everything about my tooling and platform. Why do I want that slice? I want that slice because I want to eventually use an agent that is going to actually be used to it's going to have a prompt. It's going to have a context window by user initiative that is going to go in and find the intersection of each one of these domains so that I can capture an answer. So I'm going to ask, explain to me why data is missing from DIM customer. And it's going to diagnose the problem, fix it, and the AI is then going to say, it's going to tell me this is what you want me to do. So it is important that we put all of these together, stack them up so we're able to use them in our metadata vault. So I want to take just a moment to talk about how in this era of AI, semantics are now non-optional for our metadata layer. We've got to be able to capture these semantics. And I would argue we've got to be able to put them in code, and it should be something we can check into GitHub, okay, or check into the Git repository so that all of these definitions are there. So metric definitions with business rules as formulas and calculation logic, ontologies and taxonomies. So we have the hierarchy of relationships and other context window information like process flows. And in some platforms now, we can actually feed the AI example queries that will guide us in how to use it. Okay, so Jim asked, do you connect this metadata vault to a deployment tool for CI/CD? And the answer is yes. I'm getting ready to come to that. And that's when I talk about Git, but I want to jump into semantics for just a moment. So just to come back to my repo here, I mentioned that I have a semantic information inside my metadata source here, and it's actually inside GitHub here. All right, and this semantic information is captured in a tool called Duo Data. I'm going to show you that really quick. So Duo Data is a tool that we've incorporated into our stack. And of course, it's a little slow to load here. And also just before I came in here, I don't know if anyone else uses Snowflake, but there was a big outage of Snowflake just before the talk. I was wondering if I'd be able to show this. Okay, so inside Duo Data, I have the ability to engage the business for capturing basically a conceptual metric layer, conceptual metrics and semantics that I can then feed into my source control and align it with all of my use cases for delivering my data. So essentially, I'm able to capture sources. Okay, so in this case, I have several Snowflake sources that I pull from. But there are other business sources that are involved in the building of my data vault. I have reports, which is actually where I can create a grouping of what we call slices and metrics. I'm able to capture slices, which is a synonym for dimensions, that allows me to identify the different business concepts that are throughout my business model and my business rules. So I suffixed several of these elements and actually created a small little metrics model that we can take a look at, and I can show you how we can deploy it to the target platform. So we've got from the Snowflake sample data, we've got orders, part data, price, and supplier against a model that has already been materialized and deployed to the target Snowflake platform. So each one of these represents a dimension. And then I also have metrics, which are calculations, and I'll just jump into a metric definition here really quick. And I now have this slice called order, and I've got a definition of it from the business, and I know this is a rudimentary definition, but I also have information about the release and when it was updated. Basically, I'm treating every artifact about my metrics and semantics, I'm treating it as a release. So in Duo data, I'm defining my definitions, and I've got an easy and accessible place for the business to come in and interact with these metric, in this case, the slice definition, which goes along with the metrics. The business can interact with this and keep it up to date to iterate over it. So these are the slices. I can also see where these slices are attached to particular metrics. We've got discount, tax, quantity, extended price, and order grand total. And then I also group these metrics by a report. Okay, so essentially you can think of it as like a fact table, how we group it. This fact table plus these slices or dimensions go with this particular report definition. So reports, slices, which represent dimensions, and then the actual metrics. And if I go into my view here, this tool, Duo Data, allows me to capture the lineage of my metrics. So if I go in here, I can see there's that lineage that I was just looking at, which is the extended price discount, but I can see the full landscape of all of my metrics inside my warehouse. So if I go into extended price, I actually have a formula which gets captured and can be deployed in a code base that my semantic tools can then use in the target platform. So here we've got extended price minus discount is the calculation. But essentially, I've grouped all of these metrics. I have my lineage, what metric feeds a downstream metric. I've got some business-friendly information about this, which the business can keep up to date and can continue to enhance as more and more of these are deployed. And as we go through iterations, and I can actually, as I'm going to demonstrate here, I can go in and export this from my organization. So here we go. Under my organization details, I can capture all that's been put in the semantic definitions of Duo data, and I can export them. In this case, I can export them as JSON, but they could be exported as YAML or PDF, and then I can deploy that to my code base. So I've exported that, and we actually are working on a Git integration, which we will have soon. We're actually DataStack is helping Duo Data because they are a partner of ours. We're helping them with that Git integration. But to show you what that looks like in code, you can see Duo Data gives me a complete code base for my semantics. So how can I use that? Why is that important? Well, now I can take this and I can use agentic tools to actually enhance my data within the target platform, which is Snowflake. I can use platform-specific tools that will enable me to get more meaning from my data. So to give you an example, I actually interacted with this semantic view, and this is part of a process of an integration that we're putting together for Duo Data. We interacted with this and created what we call a stub of a semantic view in Snowflake, which it allows you to do. Snowflake allows you to create a semantic view, and it was essentially this stub of a semantic view. I go in, I select a schema here, which I'm in the Vault Speed Trial Data Vault, which I understand there's some really good things coming for Vault Speed and Snowflake here, but I've actually been working on a prototype of it here. But within this, if I select the schema here and then go to create, I can create that stub of a semantic view, which I did. So that semantic view is here. I actually checked that into GitHub. And once I checked it into GitHub, I created a prompt that pointed this, it pointed this stub of a semantic view. Okay, this was the original stub. And I gave it some context and some documentation, and I actually told it to take a look at the InfoMart schema where this exists. Okay, so it's able to read the InfoMart SQL and then go in and map it onto the semantic view. So it's using the Duo data JSON with semantic definitions, mapping it onto the InfoMart and allowing me to create a semantic view, which I deployed to Snowflake. And I won't walk you through the entire process here, but Snowflake, and I just want to say, if you haven't tried some of the agentic tools, I think you've got to get on either Snowflake, Databricks. If you're in a cloud data platform, these tools are tremendous. They're really easy to use, and they're pretty low cost and barrier to entry. But I created a semantic view, and you can see the definition. So this semantic view, SM customer orders. And then I walk through the process of creating an agent, which is essentially just 3 or 4 steps, pointing the agent to the semantic view, which, by the way, just really quick, it didn't just put metric calculations in there. It actually enhanced it with all the business definitions, and then also some of the model mappings that we already knew were present there, just due to the data model being present when the initial view was created. So all of that was put in there. So this semantic view, we can see it has the comments with some of the information, which is all used by Cortex. Cortex Analyst is the AI component in Snowflake that's using all of this. So we've deployed the semantic view, then we've set up an agent, and I just asked this agent, tell me what you know about my customer orders. I'll ask this question. What can you tell me about my customer orders? So it's thinking for a bit. Oh, of course, no customer orders. We'll put this prompt in. Summarize the element description for customer orders. Okay, so we got those out of there. And again, I think there was probably a permission problem behind the scenes for that, but was able to read all the metadata about each one of the columns. But the idea is that metric calculations plus metadata plus the slice information and even relational model information in the semantic layer is going to be used to enhance the customer's experience of interacting with the data. And it's going to allow you by capturing this in the metadata vault, we're able to version and create as part of an entire release all the information that needs to be deployed as part of our release, from semantics to model to platform information, all the way across the board. Okay, so one of the things I want to do as a part of a proposed architecture for metadata vaults is I'm proposing that we use Git as the source of truth for everything dev related. The new platforms that we have now allow you to create Git repos within the target platform. And if we leverage Git as part of our framework here, essentially what I showed you inside Visual Studio, what I was showing you as part of our Git repo, it can be used once you have developed all of your components for creating your data vault. You can then manifest it in the database to be queried and used by users. And I'm going to show you that really quick in Snowflake. And I know we need to move along pretty quickly here to finish everything that we have. Okay, inside my MetaVault schema, I have created a Git repository. This is one of the beautiful things about Snowflake. So essentially, I have an internal stage, or actually it's an external stage inside Snowflake that is integrated for me to see all the different elements that I've captured in my vault. So if I push my changes now, so I'll commit those files and push them in, and I go fetch them here inside Snowflake. Hopefully there's not a lock happening behind the scenes. I see I added some schema metadata, and that is now here. And actually the current version of my data warehouse is now in Snowflake, and I can query it. So I'll go in and I've created these views on top of it. So I've got a Snowflake task history, the vault speed FMC loading history, which is done through tasks. I've got all the vault speed information that I have about my tool platform. So again, releases, I can see these here. This is the data vault release here. Oh, there was a permissions issue. Interesting. Let's go here where we can change roles. There it is, data vault release. So now I can see that full release here. So everything about my data vault release, which I mentioned in our target data model, data vault release is the first class citizen. It's the central entity in our metadata vault, because I want to know everything that happens in that release. Okay, I want to know what happened in development, what happened in deployment, what happens after it goes into operations. All right, so other elements here, I've also got my metadata about the model available. So if I look here, all my tables and columns for the source. There we go. all the metadata that comes from vault speed, which I can then use to drive a lot of other automation. In one of our customers, we put metadata, the vault speed metadata, into their repository, and vault speed didn't have a validation template built out of the box, but we were able to build off of the metadata validation templates that can go back and check and do some of the load metrics that we want, row count validations, business key counts, validations of relationships and that sort of thing. But all this metadata here allows that to be possible. And what I've done is versioned it, okay? And because I have branches from Git available here, I can actually version dev versus production or dev versus UAT versus production and see all of these versions here in my data vault. So all of this from Git has now been essentially manifested in Snowflake, everything from my metadata vault. So what I'm proposing is that we actually use Git as a portable way of capturing our metadata and just say, I want to move to Databricks and I want to have my metadata available in Databricks. Well, this will allow you to capture that metadata and move it over. Now, one of the missing factors of this is more standardization. I know with semantics, we have something called the open semantic interchange format that was introduced by Snowflake. That is going to allow us to have a standard way of transporting these metrics across the different platforms, metrics and semantics. So I say we move toward those standards so that we can put these and make them portable. But essentially in the architecture for all of the dev related metadata vaults, we want Git artifacts, we want external stage, platform views, which I showed you, which essentially flattens some of that data so we can make it relational. And then from there, we create MetaVault Marts. Okay, again, the central entity is the data vault release. We're versioning it. Every time we have a new release, everything connected to that goes from GitHub into the target platform. Then after we start running all of the loads, after we have users accessing the information, after we have agents starting to use some of this data, perhaps through a semantic view or some other use case where that data is used, we want to give feedback information that can also be captured in the metadata vault. One central place where all of this information can be captured. So what are some examples of how we would use a metadata vault? Well, I see a huge use case for operational issues. How many times have you gotten to the end of the day, and perhaps if you're really on top of your game, you've run validations early in the morning to make sure maybe your daily load cycles have completed, or maybe you run them throughout the day, and you detect an anomaly. Okay, we have a row count mismatch. We know we missed data. Okay, worst case scenario, the user finds it and logs a ticket. We all know how that goes. You then begin tracing back the lineage. We all have documents about that. A lot of times we're going through SQL. Now Snowflake has a handy lineage mapping tool there inside Horizon Catalog, but we trace back the issues. We run sample queries to figure out where the problem was. And then what do you know? You find out that at 3:30 a.m., the token expired on your Salesforce API ingestion, okay? And you weren't able to load that data. Well, I say those sorts of things, these can be encapsulated in an agent, okay, or in a team of agents. We all know what we do each time we go through that drill. So why not encapsulate it inside of an agent and then have the agent do the work? It can learn what those processes are. And what better way to help it understand your warehouse and where to go than through a metadata vault? You can check in all of your code base for, say, Airflow, where all the Python is there. If there were any tweaks in it, it's available to the agent to see. You can check in all of your lineage and mappings. You can check in specific code changes that were perhaps made to the SQL in the stored procedures you run. All of that goes in, and the agent can go quickly through all of those troubleshooting steps to surface a solution. So that previous prompt I gave you was, okay, why? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to actually figure out what happened and why data wasn't loaded to my particular dimension. Well, the agent can go in, and the first place it needs to go is the metadata vault, where it can track the operational timing of what happened, and then it can track the actual structure of the code and even run some of the sample queries to surface exactly where the problem and the failure was. Now, easier said than done, but I think establishing a data foundation release by release is where we can put the agent onto some of these tasks. I also think that this metadata vault can be used for migration design. So we should be able to generate scripts that easily help us migrate to new platforms. And if we standardize the metrics and work towards standardizing a lot of the metadata that we capture, okay, metadata that's compatible across different tooling and platforms, then we will be able to easily do migrations for multi-platform or movement to a new platform. And then another use case that I have for using the metadata vault here is actual change impact. So when I'm developing, because I have GitHub or I have a Git repository available to me in Snowflake, as I'm developing and checking in my changes to the dev branch, I can also maintain and manifest that main branch plus the dev branch and do comparisons using code to know where my big impacts are. I can also get predictions on maybe where I don't have a migration script that's necessary for transitioning an object. But all of these are really big use cases that we can use the metadata vault for actually troubleshooting our issues. So, having said that, I really appreciate your time. I do want to let you know we have developed tooling that connects each one of these kinds of components. So we are primarily Snowflake. We're a Dagster partner, if you know of Dagster, which is a scheduling and orchestration solution that we integrate with VaultSpeed. We also have tooling around Snowflake to quickly get a data vault up and running. We're also now integrating Duo data into Snowflake so that you can deploy some of those semantic views and take advantage of some of the semantic capability of the Snowflake platform. So I really appreciate your time. Thanks for letting me share an idea about the metadata vault. I did want to say metadata and agents, okay, and in particular agents are kind of like they're like a youth basketball league. You're going to need more than just one person to win a game. So you got to think about multiple agents. You're going to need them on a solid foundation, and that is you, the coach, to actually provide context window and the data foundation to find and have accurate information in that context window to actually deliver it. So I'd say call to action here would be start experimenting with capturing everything in your release. I'm going to actually share out, if you will connect with me on LinkedIn, I will share the repo that I've created here for metadata capture and with some of the notes around that. And it's in process here, so it's going to be evolving. But if you'll connect with me on LinkedIn and message me, I will share this repo with you so you could try it out in Snowflake or in Databricks and see if you could get a good prototype working. I'd love to continue the conversation. This is kind of an art of the possible that we're beginning to see and see useful information for here in our consulting and in our tool integration. So thanks for your time. I'm going to hand it back off to the cruise director, Noel Cruz.
Well, thank you very much. Great work, Brian. We do have a few moments for question and answers. If you want to ask them out loud. Otherwise, you're welcome to ask them in the chat, and we'll do our best to address them as much as possible. Brian did leave us with contact information. If you missed that information, hopefully we can post at least a link to a way to get to you there, Brian. Meanwhile,
email and LinkedIn profile coming right now in the chat.
Perfect. Jim, if you'd like, let's go ahead and introduce Dan. Unless we do have questions. Sorry. I did say we have a few moments for questions. So.
Does anybody have questions? Well, if you think about some later, you can. It's in the tech, or excuse me, it's in the chat. Contact Brian. Um, this is a man who shouldn't need an introduction, but if you're new to Data Vault, this is the person who invented it. So you basically have someone who invented an industry for us. And a lot of us who do Data Vault always say thanks to him, because it's just like Bill Inman. If he didn't invent data warehouses, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. This is Dan Lindstedt. Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'll try to keep this short. First off, I appreciate being here, and I appreciate everybody sticking around till the end just to hear me. So thank you. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. In fact, I'm going to give you some what I call gut punches for the industry. I may or may not stay on AI for the semantic layer. I've got some thoughts around that. I'll talk about it as in terms of metadata. So here goes. Bear with me. I spent the last hour hearing about how AI is going to make us faster, but speed without control is just a more efficient way to fail. So I'm not saying the demos were bad. They were fantastic, and the software is headed in the right direction. So I applaud the vendors for what they're doing. It is fantastic to see forward motion. But that said, we're all obsessed with using AI to generate models, code, metadata, and we're treating AI like a faster shovel. But here's the reality check. You aren't an architect if you're just using AI to build the model faster. You're just a technician helping the business to run headfirst into a brick wall at Mach 2. So just think about that for a bit. There's some accountability there. So let's call it what it is. AI is a professional bullshitter. Sorry about that. It's designed to be confident, not correct. And in fact, if you ask AI, you come to find out that AI is intentionally biased towards a yes man approach, agreeing with you and agreeing with your synopsis and basically saying things that reinforce your thought process rather than challenge it. It's also designed to be complacent and say, well, we think this works. And it's also designed to return generalized results, over generalized results. So be careful with that. So if you delegate the meaning of your data to a prompt because it's simpler, you're abducting your professional responsibility. Be careful, because you're the one on the hook to be accountable for this stuff. If a $10 million automated decision fails, AI built the model is the same excuse as the dog ate my homework, especially in a regulatory environment. It's not a mistake, it's a professional negligence. Be careful, you're going to end up in jail. If you can't manually defend the logic of your vault, you don't own the system. The system owns you. Okay? Now, we've also been sold a lie that lineage is the answer. Now, lineage alone is a part of the solution. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not trying to knock the vendors here. But lineage itself, by itself, is what we call a postmortem. It tells you how the patient died, but it doesn't stop the death. Okay, so in the age of AI, lineage is useless without defensibility. All the executives, all the boards, all the compliance officers around the world today are talking about this idea of defensibility. And if you haven't heard it, go out and do your research. You need to learn it and understand it. You need conceptual gates. Most of these modern AI architectures I see are perfectly traceable, but they're entirely indefensible. So what does that mean? They allow meaning to drift and accountability to be deferred until the audit starts. And if you aren't building something I like to call a defensible analytics loop, that's my terminology, where every AI output is anchored to an auditable business keyed truth in the data vault, then you aren't solving a problem. You're just masking a liability. And again, I'm not here to offend anybody. I'm here to expose the gaps in thinking when we use AI. So let's talk about this MetaVault hype, which we all just heard about. Now, this is great. I like MetaVault. It's, again, the vendors are doing a fantastic job moving forward. Everyone wants to sell you a new Meta product. Sorry, vendors. Here's the truth. The MetaVault must be 100% logical and connected with the conceptual model, the business model, the logical model, the ontology that we talk about in Data Vault 2.1, that some of you had the had the good graces to go through in the class as well as in the conference where I ran the ontology workshop. So it's a discipline. It's not a skew. Managing the meta vault at a logical level is not a skew. If your meta vault is tied to a specific vendor's proprietary implementation, you haven't built a system of information management. You built a cage. You got vendor lock-in, basically, is what we're saying. So use the tools, not just alone, but use the tools like Elation, Calibra, whatever. Use the tools that you've seen here tonight to enrich your meta vault and your manufacture, your governance, your capture, your storage, your maintenance of your meta vault, but integrate it with your BI solutions. That's the key. That's not what's happening here. The meta vault has to go all the way out to the business and be accepted by the business user at the point of which I click on an element. Not only can I see its lineage, but I can understand its meaning and definition, as well as, hey, look, there's 5 different versions of this definition. That's where the ontology taxonomy starts to pay off. Okay, so use these tools to execute your logic, but own the logic. If you don't own the logic and you don't version control it in the metadata, you don't own your own future. Okay, so here we go. Bear with me. We're almost done. So what do you do tomorrow? How do you mitigate some of these problems? First, stop automating the meaning. Use AI for the toil, the code, the DDL, the movement, but use the business keys and the definitions, the hub definitions. They must remain human and an architectural decision. There you go. How do you best integrate disparate terms? Well, you can guess at them. AI can do fuzzy logic matching. That's called entity resolution. We talk about that in class. But entity resolution isn't at the metadata level. It's at the data level, which is even one step further removed from your conceptual, logical, and ontology. You got to do the ontological work at the business level to keep your business concepts together. Okay? So if you let a machine define your business entities, you've lost the war before it started. The second thing you can do is build the gate before the model. Before you deploy a new AI-driven metric, ask yourself, can I prove the authorization of this data at the point of ingestion? If the answer is no, you haven't built a product. In other words, speaking specifically about data products from data mesh, you've built a liability. So be careful, right? And this is what AI does. It blurs the lines about accountability. It gives you things like horseshoes and says good enough, just barely good enough. In other words, it's passable to the human brain. But when an auditor looks at it, it fails miserably. So you got to be careful about your results. The third thing you can do is audit for semantic drift. This is why version control has always been part of Data Vault training and always will be stated as part of the Data Vault methodology. A lot of mistake people make is they still think that Data Vault is just a data model. Oh, give me a break. But you got to worry about the version control of the semantic drift. In other words, your terminology, your meta vault version control, not just the business rules. Those have to be versioned too. But also you've got to be able to say, 6 months ago, this was the definition of the business rule and the definition of the metadata and the definition of the business terminology, and then put the data from 6 months ago back through those rules to reproduce the result exactly as it stood 6 months ago. So auditability goes much, much further than ever before. It goes into the metadata, goes into the business rules, into the version control, and everything else. So once a month, take your AI's truth and map it back to your raw vault. If the definitions, the business definitions and the metadata definitions have drifted even 1%, your defensible loop is broken. Fix the loop, not the dashboard. That's the punchline there. So here's the end of my spiel tonight, and I'm sorry if I offended a bunch of people here. My challenge is to get you to think critically, because the better you think, the better your outcomes will be, and the happier we'll all be in Data Vault land, including the vendors, because you'll produce better solutions, right? So my challenge to you guys is simple. Stop using AI to make your work faster. Instead, start using Data Vault to make the AI's work safe. And that's Data Vault methodology, system of business intelligence or system of information management, right? So that's the methodology, the architecture, and the model all combined. That includes the Meta Vault and everything else, the semantic layers. The business doesn't need faster answers. If the answers are wrong and the logic is indefensible, then the business is sunk. They need a system of record that provides the physical reality the AI is required to respect. If you can't substantiate your analytics with contemporaneous evidence, if you're still relying on retrospective narratives to justify your numbers, you haven't modernized a damn thing. Build for survivability or get out of the way because there will be others who do. So that's it for you guys tonight. And if you want me to define some terms for you, I got a few definitions I'm going to leave with you. So what is a conceptual gate? These are mandatory semantic checkpoints that happen before data is integrated into your system of record. They aren't any technical ETL checks like null values. They are business logic enforcements. They ensure that every piece of data entering the data vault is conceptually authorized. So meaning it adheres to an immutable business definition that AI can't override or hallucinate in any way. And what do I mean by defensible analytics loop? And then I'm done. This is an architectural cycle that connects raw source data to the AI final output through continuous auditable trail of evidence. It moves you from lineage, i.e. where did it come from, to defensibility. Can I prove this was the correct authorized logic at 2 p.m. yesterday? That's what I was talking about with version control across all the artifact layers. If the loop is broken, your AI output is a legal liability. If the loop is closed, your output is a defensible business asset, and that's why it's a loop. Okay, so there you have it. These are some new terms I've dropped on you tonight. These are important because executives are paying attention to these things and they're being challenged by privacy boards and laws and all kinds of other things going forward in the use of AI. Now, the last thing about AI, if you don't use it or you don't use it for your business, either your career is already dead or dying, or your business is dead and dying because there's no competitive nature. So AI is here to stay. We have to use it. We have to learn to use it responsibly. Thanks for your time.
And thank you, Dan. Excellent words of wisdom. Mary, are you available? We'll go ahead and present.
Absolutely.
There you are. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Mary Mink.
All right. Okay. Well, this was an amazing DBNOG event. Thank you to Thibaut and to Mark for Data Vault for the semantic layer, AI semantic layer, and to Brian Mull. I mean, that was so awesome with the Meta Vault and learning about that. And then Dan, thank you so much for your words of wisdom. We really appreciate all of it. It was just so exciting. So now we lost the presentation. Cruise director.
There it is.
Here it's
Although
back.
I am flying blind here. I've got a black screen, so you're just going to have to.
Okie dokie. All right. Well, we see it right now. And we just want to really thank our sponsors for their support. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And they offer $50 gifts for anyone that registered. And so our winners are on the next page. If he's going to click, I can tell you who the winners are. Okay. All right. So for resultant, it's a Amazon $50 gift card, and Scott Ambler won that. Congratulations. And from Data Rebels, John Steinbach is the winner of that $50 Amazon gift card, and he's with Knights of Columbus. For Eon Collectives, $50 Audible gift card is Ben Williams from High Trawl Conveyor. And for Warescape, another $50 Amazon gift card, as a matter of fact, the rest of them are, is Torsten Glund from Alligator Company. Congratulations. And for Vault Speed, our winner is Sarah Ciron from Pet IQ. And our Seven Rivers is Driti Chowdhury, I think. Anyway, that's another $50 Amazon gift card, and the Dietrich is with Clarion Housing Association. I think he was on today. I'm pretty sure that I saw some questions. Not sure if he's right here, is here now, but congratulations. And our Data Vault builder is Juan Salazar, and he is a first-time Data Vaulter, and we appreciate all the first timers. I know that we had about 28% of our folks that were on today were first-time DVNoggers, and we love that. Anyway, he's from Florida Tech, and thank you for starting to learn Data Vault. And our last gift is from De Facto, and this is Jeff Terry from Tiny Bear Information Company. And I just want to say thank you or congratulations to Jeff. And I know that when you signed up for the event, I know that you're already using AI for your help desk, and I hope that this really helped you, this event too, and learn some things from it. Anyway, congratulations to all of our folks, and again, thank you for attending, and thank you to the sponsors. Next slide, please. Vanna White. Noel.
Did it move? It, like I said, I'm flying blind here. Did it go?
Okie dokie. Okay, the previous slide was just that I just wanted to remind everybody that we are on LinkedIn, and we are working on our DVNog website. And also, again, just a reminder that, we need folks to help support us. If you're interested, please be sure to chat and let us know if you'd like to be on the board for that Board of Elections that we're going to be holding in February. Okay, and we hope that you join us at our next event. It's March 18th, and we do not have the topic at this moment, but definitely, we do want you to put that date down and hold that spot on your calendar for us. All right, I think that's it. That's it, actually. So we really appreciate the speakers, the sponsors, and for all of the attendees. This is what makes us a really great Data Vault community. And thank you again. See you next time.